You may think that alien life is all science fiction and will never be real, but there are so many possibilities out there that we can't just dismiss them. With over 100 billion Earth-like planets out there in the Milky Way galaxy, there are definitely signs of life somewhere, right? Scientists have actually been able to narrow it down to a few places that could have life, and this has led to speculation that we might be closer than ever to discovering alien life. But just how close are we? Let's find out. We're going to start off with some good news and work our way into the bad stuff. Scientists are super excited because they think they've found the first real ocean on another planet. This was published in the Nature Astronomy journal, and scientists were able to determine this by looking at the WASP-39b planet and its atmosphere. If you could take a quick moment to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that bell icon, I'd really appreciate it. Alright, let's dive back in. WASP-39b is around 700 light years away from us. It's around the size of Jupiter, but it's slightly bigger. And because of how big it has a very strong gravitational pull. Its gravity is about 3 times stronger than the Earth's gravity. But here's the thing, even though it's pretty massive, it's not a gas giant at all. It actually has a cool, rocky surface that you can see and explore. And what makes this planet so special is that scientists were able to analyze its atmosphere and it looks like it has water. You might be wondering, just because there's water doesn't mean there's an ocean, right? You're gonna be totally surprised when you hear this. It's wild, right? If there's water, that totally means there's an atmosphere too, right? Without an atmosphere, the water would simply drift away into the vastness of space, right? And if it did have an atmosphere, it would mean that it has a certain amount of pressure. If it didn't have any pressure, then the water would boil and turn into vapor. That's just pure science, my friend. It's all about how pressure changes everything, right? The only way for a planet to have liquid water is if it had an atmosphere and pressure similar to ours. So if this planet has water and an atmosphere, then it could also have an ocean. That would be absolutely amazing, right? Just picture a huge ocean. And since it's a rocky planet, there's a good chance that it could have oceans, lakes, and maybe even continents. It would have to be very hot though, because it's extremely close to its star. Sounds like there might actually be some kind of life hanging out there. Are you feeling pumped about that? I mean, it's pretty wild, right? Now, whether that life would be similar to ours or not is another story. In fact, that's one of the reasons why scientists have named this planet WASP-39b. WASP stands for Wide-Angle Search for Planets, and B means it's the second planet discovered using this method. However, the reason why it's called WASP-39b and not WASP-784, for example, is because of when it was discovered. Did you know that in binary code, the year 2039 looks like 784? Pretty cool, right? Binary code is a system where they only use ones and zeros. So scientists translated 2039 into binary and then used those numbers to name this planet. Since computers use binary code, it seemed fitting. Anyways, scientists say that this planet is probably extremely hot and inhospitable to life. But if we zoom out and look at the rest of the solar system, there's a good chance that there could be planets similar to Earth somewhere else. Check this out, there's this cool planet called Wolf 1069b, and guess what, it's just 300 light years away. How wild is that? Plus, it's super similar to Earth. In fact, it's known as the Earth's twin because it's almost exactly the same size. Unfortunately, it orbits around a red dwarf star which has powerful flares that can destroy a planet's atmosphere. Not the strongest candidate, I get that, but hey, who knows? You never know. It just might surprise us in a way we didn't expect. Speaking of stars, scientists recently analyzed data collected by NASA's Chandra X-ray Observatory and they found something weird. They found 2 stars that were seemingly in the middle of nowhere. They didn't seem to be related to any other stars or objects and they were only visible for a couple of days. Scientists believe that these stars could have been created during the Big Bang, and that they were only visible now because their light just now reached us. However, the truth is that nobody really knows what these stars are and where they came from. Some believe that they could have come from a completely different universe that's colliding with ours. Now this sounds pretty crazy, but there is some evidence for this theory. For example, scientists have noticed that our universe's expansion rate is increasing, and if that's the case, then it would make sense that other universes are also expanding and moving towards us. Eventually, all these universes will bump into each other, leading us into a new phase of the universe's heat death. But let's say that these stars aren't from another universe. What if they're actually the key to everything? A group of researchers from Columbia University say that these stars could be the beginning of a galactic portal. You heard that right, a real-life portal. Can you believe that? While portals are usually only found in sci-fi movies, scientists say that they may be a real thing. The 2 stars seen by NASA's Chandra X-ray Observatory could be the key to finding one. These portals are known as wormholes, and they allow faster-than-light travel. Wormholes are like cosmic shortcuts, connecting to different spots in spacetime. I mean, wormholes are like the ultimate space shortcuts. If they exist, then it would completely revolutionize space travel, because we wouldn't have to worry about the speed of light limit anymore. Imagine if we could just jump into a wormhole and zoom anywhere in a flash. How awesome would that be, right? Just think about all the places we could explore in no time. But here's the catch. Wormholes can be super risky, you know? They're not just cool shortcuts through space. They can be pretty dangerous too. Anything that passes through a wormhole can come out at any point in time and space. That means that if you went through one, you could end up anywhere, anytime. And that's not to mention the fact that wormholes can collapse at any moment, which would tear apart anything that passed through. These stars might just help us find a wormhole, but wow, isn't that a super risky adventure? I mean, it's wild, right? Okay, now things are starting to get dark. What if we already have aliens on Earth? There's a man named John Alexander who worked as a lieutenant colonel in the United States Army. He claims he's the one hiding all the evidence about aliens. Can you believe it? He's saying aliens have popped by Earth a bunch of times and even left cool stuff on the moon. He says that he's personally seen proof of these extraterrestrial beings and that there are secret government facilities where they're being held. He also says that aliens have been in contact with humans since the 1940s and that the US government has been covering it up. If any of this is true, then wow, it would totally change everything we think we know about the world, right? However, we should note that he's been fired from his position multiple times due to bizarre behavior, so he may not be the most reliable source. Okay, so we haven't found aliens yet, and we probably won't be able to for a while. So here's some good news. Scientists recently made a shocking discovery near Saturn. They discovered this massive ocean hidden beneath the icy surface of one of Saturn's moons. How wild is that? This moon is called Enceladus and it's one of Saturn's smallest moons. It's only about 500 kilometers wide and it has a very thin atmosphere. Despite this, scientists were able to detect a large amount of water vapor coming from its surface. This meant that there was something going on under the ice. So they decided to investigate. They sent a probe called Cassini to take a closer look. What they discovered was totally seriously, it left everyone speechless and amazed. Cassini discovered that Enceladus has a massive ocean under its icy surface. In fact, it's thought that the moon is mostly made up of water. The only thing bigger than its ocean is its core. And because of Saturn's gravity, the ocean is under extreme pressure. This means that it could have all the necessary conditions for life. Of course, just because it has water doesn't mean that it has life. Absolutely. It's a solid beginning. Water is essential, right? It opens up so many possibilities for life to thrive. And if we can find a way to get there, then we might just discover the first extraterrestrial life forms. And don't forget, we're only talking about the moons of Saturn. Did you know there are tons of other moons in our solar system? Some of them might even have oceans. How cool is that? For example, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto are Jupiter's moons, and they could have oceans as well. Scientists have already discovered that Europa and Ganymede have huge amounts of water under their surfaces. Callisto, honestly, we're still in the dark. But hey, it could happen. This means that if we're willing to travel to other systems, then we could have many chances to find life. These moons are super far away, like way beyond what we can imagine. So to summarize, we may be closer than ever to finding aliens, but we're still not quite there yet. There are a few promising places that we can check, such as WSP 39b, but it may be a while before we can get. Other places like Enceladus are much closer, but it'll be difficult to actually get to the ocean. Either way, the search continues and we'll keep you updated if anything interesting pops up. What do you think about these new discoveries? Are we closer to finding aliens than we think? Or is this all just a bunch of bull? We'd love to hear what you think. And seriously, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already.